Welcome, friends, to the Lead Well, Live Whole podcast. I'm your host, Michael Sirmon, and it's an honor to journey with you. This podcast is a heart-to-heart conversation about what it truly means to lead well, not just professionally, but personally and spiritually too. Here, we believe leadership isn't something you put on with your suit on Monday morning and take off Friday afternoon. Real leadership starts within. This is my time. Welcome back. Today we're exploring the heart behind Lead Well, Live Whole, and why it's so essential to connect authentic leadership with holistic living. Because let's face it, you can't pour from an empty cup. True leadership isn't about relentless hustle. It's about intentional growth. It's about grounded values. It's about genuine self-care. Many of us have experienced the burnout that comes with chasing success at the expense of our health, our relationships, or even our faith. I've walked that road myself. I've learned firsthand that the most impactful leaders are those who take care of their inner world just as diligently as they manage their outer responsibilities. I recall a pivotal moment years ago. I was standing on the warehouse floor with one of my VPs, and we were talking. And then my energy it seemed like it was gone, and I just slowly sank down to my knees. Ended up going to the hospital, thinking maybe I was having a heart attack. For the first time in my life, I called someone to come pick me up because I didn't trust driving myself home. So I end up in the hospital, and we're going through, all the tests, thinking, we ruled out heart attack pretty early. But it turned out that the wall or the lining around my heart was inflamed, and it was being impacted by the lid or cover to my esophagus. It slammed into it. It was caused by stress. It was caused by what I was eating as I was running from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. So after I got out, my family, one kept looking at me like they thought I was going to drop dead at any moment, right? Every twitch, every move, every whatever. I mean, they were just there immediately. And it was reassuring, right? Because I knew they cared for me. I knew they loved me. But at the same time, I am so strongly independent that it was smothering, right? Not through anything they were doing wrong, just through the way I was reacting to it. Now, again, remember, I spent my life really thinking that I'm doing the right thing. I'm living healthy. I'm living whole. I'm taking care of, active in the church, active in the community, active with my family, with all the events the boys had going on, right? I coached the baseball. I led the baseball teams. I was I was in politics. I did all of that stuff. I ate well. I looked decent, I guess. I could always be more consistent working out. But when my family finally began to gently confront me about how I was setting my priorities, how their concern with me not able to disconnect was impacting not just me, but was impacting them as well. And it caused me to step back and reevaluate myself, reevaluate my life, reevaluate my choices and my decisions when it comes to career, when it comes to life in general. Right? Because growing up, I didn't have a lot. I come from a household that was being led by a single mother who had an 8th grade education, but showed the children what work was like, what dedication was like, and what it meant to go out and hustle and try to do and earn and live. So that by the time she passed away, she had owned several, restaurants. And as a young child, my brother and I, right, we would work and we would give back into the household to help pay the bills and help do the different things. we would rent equipment from mom and pay her the rental fee plus give her a percentage of what we earned, right, to help with the household. Whenever we were teenagers and we bought a home, and there was a rental apartment, we had problems keeping renters in, so my brother and I actually rented that apartment from my mom, or from our mom, so that we could, one, have the independence, but at the same time it would help make sure that she had the steady income coming in from it. And she knew she could trust us because she could always spank us or ground us, I guess. But even with all of that, the drive to provide, the drive to succeed, the drive to establish my identity, to prove my value above other people's value was strong enough that it turned my priorities upside down. But that fateful day when I ended up in the hospital, it really forced me to reassess those priorities. It forced me to start making different decisions and go through the process of realigning my life to what mattered most. So now, the guy who never took his full vacation every year, who, if he had 5 weeks of vacation, left 4 weeks on the books, the guy who spent most of his vacation on the phone, either doing interviews or talking to his team or working on different things for work and not really disengaging and spending time with the family, was forcing himself to understand that his identity was not what he did, was not where he was at work wise, was not where he was at in the civic engagement or in any of that. But his identity was established deep within him, identified by the core values that he held dear. And for me, I will tell you that everything I did and everything that I was striving for, I could justify because I was doing it to take care of my family, to do that which my dad never did. But that's not what they needed from me. That's not what the teams that I was leading needed from me. I had a great mentor one time. His name's Scott Pryor. Scott pulled me aside and he said, "Do you know what business we're in?" And it was an aerospace company. And I said, we're in the aerospace business, Scott." And he said, "No, we make aircraft parts, but what business are we in?" And I'm confused at that point, right? And I said, I guess I'm not sure if it's not making aircraft parts. And he said, "We're in the people business. Before we are in any business, we're in the people business." He said, "You're hitting your numbers, you're hitting your goals, but you need to slow down, understand you're going to get there as a team, and you need to engage with your team. Stop and have conversations so you can truly understand who they are, and not just have a conversation so you can check it off your list." So for me at that moment, I really began to understand what authentic leadership was. I began to understand what it meant to put a team ahead of yourself, a team identity ahead of your own identity. Now, I never lost who I am, and I don't lose that drive, and I don't lose that competitive edge and any of that. But I'm not willing to sacrifice the team. And whether that's a team at work, a team at home, anything that I'm engaged or involved with, I'm not willing to sacrifice that team just for the sake of my own advancement. Coming back, we're going to talk about the principles of holistic living. All right, welcome back. Now, when we think about holistic living, what does that really mean? Holistic living means we're living in a way that encompasses the whole person, the mind, the body, the spirit, and the relationships. Takes all of these into account and doesn't just focus on one area. Right? I see people get lopsided. They go for health, they go for career, they go for different elements other than the entirety of who they are. They assume, or we assume, that any one of those things, if we're the best at that one thing, that it can stand on its own and it's not going to impact other things, that other things are not going to be sacrificed to get there. But holistic living is rooted in the mindset that every part of who we are is interconnected. That applies to you as a father, it applies to you as a husband, as a friend, as a teammate, and as a leader. And the true leader, the one who is leading well, the one who is living whole, understands that the balance is required across all these areas. And what are those areas? Well, we can talk about physical health, our nutrition, our sleep, our exercise, our rest, and I'm horrible at the rest piece, by the way. Our emotional well-being. Are we managing our stress? That's a big one. Are we processing our emotions? Well, that's even bigger. Are we practicing self-compassion? I'm telling you, in years of ministry and years of leadership in the corporate world, I'm finding that the lack of compassion for ourselves, the level of accountability we hold ourselves to, is unrealistic. And it's damaging, and it's destroying not just our mental health and our peace, but our relationships. Holistic living encompasses our mental clarity. Are we cultivating a healthy thought process? Are we learning? Are we staying curious? Are we seeking to be better today than we were yesterday? Are we seeking to be more informed about true stuff, important stuff, and not just the numbers on the bottom line? It's about spiritual grounding. It's about connecting with our values, our faith, our purpose, or higher power. Because I'm going to tell you from experience that if your purpose, if your why is no bigger than yourself, is no bigger than that bottom line at work, then your why will not carry you through the storms. Your why will not give you buoyancy because you're not grounded. It's about relational connection. It's about building strong, life-giving relationships with others. That's your spouse, that's your children, that's any significant others in your life, that's your brothers and your sisters and your parents and your grandparents if they're still around. But it's also those who've been entrusted into your care, whether they report to you as a team or whether they just enter into your sphere of influence. It could be the homeless person on the street. It could be the stranger you meet at the sports academy or somewhere. But it's making those meaningful connections in a way, and at the appropriate level, obviously, that allows you to tap into that interconnectedness that is bigger than you are, that is bigger than I am. Because the we is always stronger than the I. The we is always smarter than the me. And when we know that and we tap into that and we find that passion and we find that connection, we find a power source that doesn't pull from us, that doesn't drain us, that doesn't cost us more than we're getting from it. It's about vocational alignment. It's about being part of teams and doing work that aligns with your values, that aligns with your core principles and characteristics. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid if you're sacrificing the core of who you are to get there. Life is about more than the paycheck. I understood that back when I was making $3.75 an hour. When I was trying to raise a family of 3 on $14,000 a year or less at times. But over the years, I lost track of that and finally had to rediscover that, and had to understand that it's okay to walk away from that high-paying job, which I've done, because the true cost, was worth more than what I was selling myself for. Holistic living asks, am I thriving and not just surviving? Are my actions aligned with my values? Am I caring for every part of who I am, not just what the world can see? Many times we think about life, and we think about the things we're doing and the actions we're taking. We think nobody sees us, nobody is aware of what we're doing when it's just us by ourselves. But I can promise you, the only person that we're hiding it from and the only person we're deceiving is ourselves. If our actions in private, if our actions internally, and our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings don't align with who we want the world to see us as, then that creates an imbalance. And that imbalance is revealed often in embarrassing or humiliating or destructive ways. And as a leader, as one who strives to lead well, you are much, much greater and much better than that. You know, many things in life have a way of pulling us down. Many things in life have a way of pulling us off center and off base. And I would like to be able to sit here and say that it's easy to make the right decision every time. It's easy to make the right call every time. But you know what? It's not. It's incredibly hard sometimes. It's hard when that want is confused with the need, and that drive which we've allowed to identify or establish our identity with begins to overwhelm our why. But you know, I believe in you. I believe that you are able to stand up, hold yourself accountable, and make the right choices. So that honestly is the heart behind the lead well, live whole mindset. I hope you found something useful. I wouldn't mind interacting with you. So if you want to reach out on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, or even to, comments on the pod, I'd love to hear your story. I would love to hear what brought you here, what you're looking for in life. But until then, thank you, and let's continue to lead well and live whole. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm excited for the conversations we'll have and the growth we'll experience together. If this resonates with you, be sure to subscribe, share with your community, and stay tuned for future episodes where we'll continue unpacking what it truly means to lead well and live whole. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Remember, leadership that changes the world starts right where you are, right now. Until next time, this is your host, Michael Sirmon, reminding you, lead well, live whole. You're built to serve and made to thrive. Take care, friends.